Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope everyone is enjoying the course so far. I know in the last section we went over all of the tools we will possibly be using to conduct our analysis of Mac malware on our Mac OS guest. Um, Currently right now I have the Mac OS guest pulled up, so if you don't already, go into your UTM virtual environment or whichever virtual environment you are using depending on the type of Mac you are using, MacBook, iMac. Pull that up and open it up, and yeah, let's get going. Because in this section, because I know you probably had the question from last section, okay, we have our tools, we have our guest, how the heck and where the heck are we going to find these samples, these malicious samples, so we can get our hands on and start dissecting? Well, to answer that question, I bring you to this section. Welcome, as we are going to be pulling the curtain and looking at the places where we could find these malware samples, these malicious samples for us to get our hands on and dissecting it. So I'll be going over a few that I found and that I suggest that can be. As you see in front of us right now, I have Virus Total. That's the first one I was going to be talking about. Now, with Virus Total, this is great for like submitting, like if you get the hashes of the samples, you can submit them either by like a malicious, possible potential malicious file if you want to check out a URL, or you can just search. So with the search, you can actually put the hash in if you get a hash of the sample, and I'll cover this, we'll go over this in a second here, but you can put the hash in and it will search it and it will compare. So basically Virus Total utilizes takes various antivirus software, we put it against all of them, and this is like a first step in our analysis where we can see if a sample is malicious or not. Well, not only that, you can check out samples, but also on Virus Total is, I believe, if you are a member, you can also get your hands on these samples as well. But I believe that is a paying subscription, as you would have to sign in for Virus Total. However, there are some free repositories out there, malware repositories. So basically, the malware repositories are places where you can find these samples where you can, like, download them onto your VM and start analyzing them. So VirusTotal is one example. Another example is Malpedia, a repository where you could possibly find some Mac OS malware. As you can see, I started to type in Mac, like before I just have, this. And, you get all various types of samples. You get Python, Windows, it shows. These are all things that people reported. Now, if you want Mac, I just typed in Mac over here in the search section, and you know, I just typed it in the search section here, and as you can see, they don't have as much here, but they do have some. As we just clicked Mac Caw, so they do have like one, two, three, four, five, six. So they have like six samples submitted here. So it's not much, but it's something. It's another resource for you to utilize if you want to like get your hands on and start dissecting some of these that are on here. And then if you want more samples, I highly suggest Malware Bazaar as a third possible repository to utilize, as this one has actually a lot of samples, as you can see, a lot more to go through. I believe there's actually a whole other, 50 out of, there's 90 more entries to go through. So that is actually quite a bit of Mac malware that we could do and handle. And these are like the hash numbers, the hash of the files, the SHA-256, which is actually the most secure type of hash recommended, which is pretty cool. So that's a third possible repository to find Mac malware samples. And another one that I highly suggest and that we will probably use for this course, this mini course for our samples, is Objective C Foundation, founded by Patrick Wordle, a very popular, famous security researcher, especially specifically for Mac OS. He's very passionate about securing them, and him and all the people at Objective C, they're a great resource to use, and they have their own Mac malware collection. This is another great repository I highly suggest. So this is their one on their website. If you want something with like more detail, because I noticed like some of these are not all on here, but then I looked at their malware collection on GitHub, and as you can see, I'm going to open in the new tab here to show you. This one has a lot more, as you can see, like Atomic Stealer wasn't on this one, but it's over here on their GitHub page. And this I highly suggest, and we can just briefly browse here. You can see that they have a lot of samples on here, some like really popular ones like Atomic Stealer you might be familiar with. That's like a recently newer one. There is Evil Quest, which was another really famous malware that did a ransomware, but also a little bit more. Actually, Objective-C took it a little bit further and dissected a little bit more with Evil Quest. And there is another one here that you might be more familiar with or heard of, or the ransomware gang group is Lockbit, which they recently actually made from they made one for targeting the newest Mac system, which was the ARM system, the architect, the M chips, which was interesting. They had one at least in the works if you further dissect it, and actually you could see that with Objective-C. Objective-C also provides like a really amazing write-ups in their blog section here. But Patrick and his team provides really great write-ups of all these malwares. Like you see Turtles. They have a Mac malware of 2023 review, which Patrick does at the end of every year. So I really highly suggest his blog post and their Mac malware collection. Actually, for this lab, we are actually going to be using Objective-C's free repository. So Objective-C is a free repository. Malware Bazaar, I believe, is also a free repository. You can download these hashes. For Objective-C, however, for this course, for this whole entire mini course, we are going to be doing using Objective-C's repository, and I'll show you how to get all these samples onto your VM safely. So if you're not in it already, I would say go to your environment, open up your VM, which I already have it opened here in UTM I'm using. And once you have it open, open up Safari, and then go to Objective-C. You can, if it's not already there, you can select Google and Safari or whatever browser you have on here, whether it's Google or whether it's Brave, whichever browser you're using, and you can type in Objective-C Mac malware collection. And as you can see, Mac malware collection. Probably close that because I already have it open here. And then you can control click, and then you will get the GitHub. And then we'll go to here. If you never have been on GitHub before, or some of you probably have already have a GitHub, When you want to download all of these, because these are all zipped files, you want to go to code, click on code, and then click on download zip. And it will begin. Do you want to allow? Yes, we do. Allow. And it will begin to download all of these samples on this repo. And you can individually select the ones you want to download as well. But I rather, like for our course, I rather have you just, do that, download the whole thing. So that way you have like the entire repo on your guest. And as you can see, it's downloading. So that might take a couple seconds to download. So once it's download, then I will meet you over in the next section where we will go over first cloning, and then in the last half of this section, the last video, we will cover safety. Safety, 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 especially when we're handling, these are all very live, malicious samples. So we definitely want to make sure we are practicing the safety. And I will go over that in further detail by basically isolating our guests that we are currently using. So download the samples, the repo of Objective-C, which they provide. Thank you, Objective-C and Patrick Wordle, for providing these free Mac malware samples for us to dive in and dissect to our heart's content. As you can see, it finished downloading as I finished talking. So great. I will download that, and I will meet you in the next section where I will cover over first saving our machine, and then I will go over into more details with practicing safety when handling these malicious sample. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next section.